You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 2. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
In this episode, we're sharing why we decided to leave our classrooms and support other educators by creating mindfulness curriculum for the classroom. Let's get started. So last week we talked a little bit about our own journey and how overwhelm in the classroom really brought us to finding our own personal practices that helped us to feel more calm and joyful and be the best teachers that we could be. And then this week we're going to get into a little bit more of sort of where that brought us with EduCalm. So can you tell us a little bit about like your own personal practice, how it started, and then how that diffused into your classroom?
So I had a bit of a difficult year last year, and I went on a trip. And when I came back, I realized that like I had so much fun on the trip and I felt so good and I wanted to continue feeling awesome. So I started gratitude journal just to focus on the positive. And I would do that every day. And then eventually I wanted to take it a step further. So I got into meditation. And then I realized how many changes I saw in myself and I wanted to share it with my students. So I started doing that.
That's such a classic teacher thing, right? You find something that you love in your own life and they're like, I can't wait to share this with my kids.
Oh yeah. I was like so excited to show them what I was doing.
Yeah.
And share it with them. And how about you?
That's awesome. So for me, I had shared last week that I did my yoga teacher training. And then when I got back, I had this plan of exactly what I wanted to do in my own life and what I wanted to do in my classroom, because I had dabbled in practicing mindfulness with my students over really the 3 years that I was teaching, and honestly didn't really have great success. It never really caught on. And then once I did my training, I realized that it was just the approach I was taking. So when I came back, I started my own practice. So 5 minutes in the morning, I would put on a guided meditation and I would listen to that. And then I started to bring that into the classroom with my students with doing a morning practice with them as well. It went really, really well. I started planning to have my whole day in my classroom with my students, just naturally infusing mindfulness into it. So it was just part of our schedule, and that worked really well for us. So in the morning, we would do a silent morning. So honestly, this took me several weeks to get them to actually be silent in the mornings. But you know how it goes when
I can imagine.
Yeah, you know how it goes when you're creating a routine with your class. You just have to stick to it until they like hop on board as well.
Yes.
So every morning I would stand at the door and I would invite them in and remind them to go straight to their spots and that we were having our silent morning and that they could do any silent activity at their spot until the morning announcements. And then as soon as the morning announcements were done, we did a 5-minute guided mindfulness practice. So because I was trained in mindfulness as a yoga teacher, I guided them myself, and that really worked because I was trained in it. And then right after lunch, they would come in, and again, it was silent or as silent as possible, and realistically. And then it was a silent journal time. So this was a time for them to just write in their journal. And I told them that the reason for the journal was for them to get out any feelings or emotions they were feeling, because we all know after lunchtime, especially in grade 6, I don't know if it was like this in grade 4, but they come in and they're all telling you what happened on the playground, and so did this and this kid did that, and it's a bit chaotic, yes. Right?
Yes.
So to counteract that and have just a little bit more silence right after lunch, I said that their journal was the right place to put all those stories and that no one would read the journal, including myself. I never read their journal. It was a 5-minute completely silent writing time, and they loved it. Some of them drew, some of them wrote. And then at the end of the day, as we were writing in our agendas, they would also write 3 things that they were grateful for, and I would come around and check it. So that was how I started the routine with my classroom. And just like any routine, there were good days and bad days, but overall, in the long run, wow, the changes I saw in that group were just amazing. Like, I got this feeling that this was something that I had to share. I had to share on a larger scale. So from there, I actually decided to finish off the school year and then start teaching yoga full time the next year. So started teaching yoga full time, and to my surprise, I wasn't even really planning this in the beginning. I always knew that I would come back to the classroom in some way. But I started getting lots of schools asking me to come in to teach yoga. And that was so exciting for me. And that's when I saw the wheels turning for you, Josiane.
Oh, yeah. Actually, seriously, the first time you told me you went into a school, it's like this light bulb went off in my brain. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. And that's where the conversations really began. Like, I was just so excited about what you were doing. And I was just thinking, this is what my class needs. Like, I need to have someone come in and work with me. And I didn't have my own yoga teacher training at that point. So I didn't, I wasn't certified to do it. But I was just so excited about what you were doing. And it just, it really got the wheels turning.
Yeah, I can just see in you how lit up you are just telling this story. We got so excited at that point. So as I was getting more and more schools asking me to come in, I was also being asked to do some professional development workshops. So in those workshops, I would teach teachers how to practice mindfulness in the classroom like I had done the year before. So that schedule that I had made, I started teaching teachers how to do that and what tools to use. And that was really exciting, and everyone would get all excited. And then at the end, they were like, okay, so how do we implement this? And they're just really, I couldn't find any tools that existed out there that were what teachers needed to be able to practice this in the classroom in a really easy way. And it started to kill me that I would leave at the end and be like, okay, now go ahead and try, knowing that lots of them wouldn't continue because they didn't have the tools. So that's when my wheels started turning, being like, oh man. And I remember, writing out this list, and this was before you and I started seriously talking about working together. I wrote out this list and I was like, if I want to make this happen, here's what I need. I need a partner because I can't do this alone. I need it to be someone that is like I get along with really well, that we have the same values. I need it to be a teacher. I need them to also be bilingual because we work in both English and French schools, speaking schools. And I need this person to, just be able to teach all the stuff that I'm teaching and have had this experience in the classroom as well. I literally wrote these things down in a journal. And then a couple months later, that was when you and I started actually talking about this. And I was like, oh my God, my dreams came true.
It happened overnight.
Yeah.
We did a yoga class at the cabin with you.
Yeah.
And then after we started talking and you're like, just join me then. Just join me. And I'm thinking, what? Are you for real right now? I think it took me a whole month to actually know that you were being serious.
Yeah.
And our original plan was just to do workshops. It turned into something so much greater, and that was less than a year ago.
Yeah.
That this first conversation even happened.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's all been so magical since then. Maybe touch on, so after we talked about that, and we decided that we wanted to do this, what was it like in your classroom? So that was about February that we first had this idea that really wasn't concrete yet. We had talked about, creating curriculum for classrooms, making it easy for teachers to be able to practice this in the classroom. So what was your experience like from then? Did you change anything with what you were doing with your students?
I By then, I was doing a mindfulness practice every morning with the students. But I actually started experimenting more. So I would just play something from YouTube before, which I was often not satisfied with, but it was better than nothing.
Yeah.
And then after that, I started experimenting with like me doing the practice. And I just started implementing more mindfulness practices in general, like mindful eating or, just doing things more mindfully or slowing down.
Slowing down. Isn't that what schools need right now?
and it did make me realize how I always rushed the kids. So we actually slowed down, took a couple steps back, and things were much better then too. But we actually took a couple steps back and we looked at how the brain works and we learned together. It was all new to me too. And so we all had a better understanding of that. And then we started working on growth mindset, having that growth mindset, what it means, and to actually take that mindset on. And I truly saw a transformation in all of my students, but a couple specifically that were like different people by the end of the school year. It was magical, really. So it really confirmed that this was something that we needed to do on a bigger scale.
Yeah. What I have to say, and I don't know if I've ever actually told you this, but what I really loved was actually watching you go through these steps. So at the beginning of the year, before our discussion in February, you were still, having a really tough year. And I was like, it was so hard for me to see you go through such a tough time, knowing that you would be better once you came through it. I just had faith that something amazing was going to happen from it, which it did. But seeing you go through that and then seeing you begin to practice it with your students, not only were you telling me stories of how it was changing your classroom, but you were also telling me stories of like how much better you felt and how you doing this with your students was good for both them, but also for you. And like together as a group, you were all feeling calmer and your days were going better. And that was so fun to watch because that was exactly what I experienced too. So it was cool to be able to see that I experienced it and I wasn't the only person. I'm not like a special flower that,
it's everyone. It's every
everyone.
Teacher.
Yeah. Exactly. That
we always joke that Kaylee made that year happen for me so that she could have a business partner.
I manifested Josiane having a really difficult year so that she could join me and we could bring our Educalm baby to life.
Yes. And we are bringing it to life now. It's so exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked a little bit about how it really helped for us to sort of actually create a schedule that we were doing this as part of our day. And I know you always did morning meetings. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I would do this almost every morning. Once I started implementing the mindfulness practice, we would do that first. And then we would all sit in a circle and we would each get the chance to talk about either something that's going on in our lives or how we're feeling or even issues that we're having that we can talk about them in a safe space.
We had, when I did in my classroom, and it's funny because we never actually talked about how we both did this. We just both naturally did this, was right after the mindfulness practice. We would do, you called it morning meetings, I called it a sharing circle. Yeah. So we were, with my class, we always did our mindfulness practice sitting in a circle on the floor.
Okay.
And then I would always bring a cool rock because kids love rocks and crystals and stuff like that. And they just think it's so cool.
Adults. So
do adults. So I would just, we would pass around the rock and it was the talking rock. So whoever had the rock was allowed to talk and everyone was listening mindfully. And they could either share how they were feeling or how their day was going. But oftentimes they would just talk about how they felt during that practice that day. So some of the kids would say, oh, today it was really hard for me to sit still. I was really fidgety. And what I loved as the teacher was be able to see that every student was having a different experience. And that's okay. And, my journey in mindfulness and, starting a meditation practice was different than your journey. And every student in the classroom's journey is going to be a little bit different. And that's okay. We're all going to take exactly what we need from the practice. So one kid would say I was really fidgety, and my answer would always be, okay, thank you for sharing. Sometimes it can be difficult to sit still, and that's okay. And then we'd go to the next person, I feel really calm now. And then there would be really, really cute things that they would say.
Like my brain feels light and fluffy right now. I had one kid say. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I also would do compliments. So the kids would write compliments just anonymously, and I would read, like they would put it in a box and I would read them during morning meeting. So it's just like an all around general feel good time. It was the perfect way to start the day.
Such a great way. And when we start making a point of starting the day in a way that makes us feel good, it's just like a domino effect for the rest of the day. It doesn't mean that the rest of the day is going to go perfect, but it really does. If you start off on the right foot, then it tends to continue that way. So if you can start off on the right foot for yourself, then start off on the right foot with your classroom, and all of your students are starting from a good place, then it really just makes the day go so much better.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how did this translate into EduCalm? So how did what you did in your classroom, how is that happening now with what we're doing? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So basically what we've done is we've taken the things that have worked best for us, and we've created a curriculum to make it insanely easy for other teachers to be able to do this too. So we have guided mindfulness practices that are only 5 minutes long that fit perfectly into the start of the day. We have some teachers that use it right after lunch too, but we always loved doing it at the beginning of the day. That's what worked in my classroom. And then we also have reflection booklets for afterwards. So it's an easy way to fit a writing activity in with your mindfulness practice, have the students reflect on what they learned during their mindfulness practice. And then it's really fun as a teacher too, to see the things that they write. It's so cute.
And it's amazing too, because the teachers are learning with the students. It's so awesome to see them all learn together.
Well, that was the big thing too, because we were seeing, both of us, I think we both had the same experience, that when I was teaching this in my classroom, I had lots of my colleagues that would come and ask, how are you doing this? I'd love to do it too. And I would try to explain to them how I was doing it, but they didn't feel comfortable teaching it because they weren't certified in it, right?
And they didn't know enough. They weren't equipped to do it.
Exactly. So, and I remember you telling me that too, that
absolutely. I felt so lost. I knew this was something I wanted to do, but I didn't know how. Yeah. But thankfully I had you to ask questions too, but not everybody has a Kaylee, you know what I'm saying?
Well, now they do.
Now
they have a Kaylee and a Josiane to guide them through this. So so the fun thing really has been that we've merged both of our, or I guess all of our fortes together, the two of us, because we both have different backgrounds and we taught different ages. So we've seen how this can work and what language works with lots of different ages. And so we've been able to create something that is so easy to use. So the teacher doesn't have to be an expert or know anything about mindfulness. They get to learn it with their students. So and it's been really fun to see classrooms that are using this, how much they're enjoying it, and the teachers are learning. That is the best part.
And what did a student tell you the other day? It was the 5th week. So Kaylee's been working with this school for 5 weeks now.
Yeah. So with this school, I've been going in every Monday to teach them a mindfulness session. And then they continue with the EduCalm practices for the rest of the week. So week 5, I don't know what was in the air, but all of a sudden in every classroom I went to, students were coming up to me and telling me how they were using their mindful breathing in their real lives. So I had one student come up to me. I know, right? So I had one student come up to me and she went, Kaylee, I got in trouble this week and I was really mad at my mom. And so then I did my 5-finger breathing and it really helped me to calm down. Then I had another one going, Kaylee, I was in the car with my brothers and they were being loud and they were annoying me. So I did my balloon belly breathing and it helped me to calm down. And so, one after the other, they were just, and of course, once one kid starts, they all want to tell me a story, but they're all telling me different ways, using it to help them fall asleep, using it when they were feeling frustrated at school. It was so cool to see how they're using this in their real lives now. So that was
so amazing.
Yeah. It's great to see. I think kids and adults really both just need this time to breathe right now. We have so many kids with anxiety and teachers with anxiety and stress.
Yes.
And it's just, I feel like it's sort of become the story in schools that schools are stressful, busy places where there's never enough time. There's always too much on your plate and never enough time. And I think that was a big thing we wanted to address, was that we can make more time by slowing down.
Yes, and I think that schools are recognizing that it's important to implement a mindfulness practice. They just don't know how.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's why EduCom has come in to really help share this, because you and I, Josiane, we've both seen this really work in our classrooms. We've now been working in lots and lots and lots of schools and seen lots of classrooms and seen just how the students and the teachers both benefit from taking this time to breathe, just taking a minute to slow down, to remember that life is fun and life is good and we're okay right now.
Yeah, and we don't have to rush through things.
Yeah. We can just slow down, and
we do a better job when we slow down anyway.
It's so true. Have we not all, every teacher, been in that space where you're trying to juggle a million things and multitask? And what happens when we multitask? We end up missing the little things or making little mistakes or just feeling frazzled. So with this podcast, we want to be able to share tools that we're using in our lives to help us do this mindset shift, to start looking at how taking care of ourselves first isn't selfish. It's something that allows us to be better for those around us. How shifting our perception about time, about what has to be done, about to-do lists.
Yes.
How making these shifts can give us the opportunity to just take a step back and decide if we want to be telling ourselves those stories or if we want to start writing a new story and experience our life in a new way. And it doesn't mean you have to leave the classroom like we did. It really is about shifting our thinking.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So these first 2 episodes, we just kind of presented who we are and what we're doing, and moving forward, we just want to share some mind shifts that we're currently implementing in our own lives, and just to inspire you to maybe make some mindset shifts too. And we'll be talking on how you can implement the mindset shift in your own life, but also how you can bring it to the classroom. So thank you so much for listening.
We are so excited to see you guys again next week on next week's episode. And in the meantime, if you want to try experimenting with the 5-finger breathing that we talked about in this episode, you can head to www.educalme, that's educalme.com/welcome, and we have a free 5-finger breathing practice waiting for you there.